Hangout is on here. All right. Okay, welcome to Bizapalooza Chat. I'm Ivana Taylor, your host today, and I am here with Andy Crestodina. Hello, Andy.
Hi.
All right, so this is the plugged-in version of our Bizapalooza Chat, Andy. And basically, our purpose is to dig in to some of the issues of the day. So dig a little deeper, answer some questions, and one of the things that I've picked for conversation all about design trends for 2017.
Perfect.
So is that perfect for you?
Yeah, great.
That's awesome, right? Because I think that this is the time, I don't know about you, but is this the time you get deluged with all kinds of people asking if their site should be updated, how their site should be updated, sort of like what goes on in your world? Because you are, aside from being content marketing world's most popular speaker this year for 2016, you do, you talked about SEO, you talked about web design. I've been on your blog and I find every single article completely and utterly irresistible. Clickbait.
Wow, well, thank you.
And I aspire to create articles like that. So talk a little bit about your area of expertise and talk a little bit about how this all works together, website design, SEO, content.
Sure. Oh, this is a great topic. So an important way to think of it is that it all goes together. Not only is the website the platform for publishing, where you put your content marketing, thought leadership, insights, information, help, advice out there to the world, but it's also the place that converts the visitor, the targeted visitor, the potential buyer who comes in. So the website really has two purposes. One is it's a place to put the cheese, and the other, it's the place where it's the mousetrap for catching mice. That's my friend Barry Feldman who says that, and I can't resist using that quote. So a bad site would hurt all of your results for several reasons. One is it would be harder to publish helpful, useful advice. The other is that it would have a lower conversion rate for turning those targeted visitors into leads for whatever your products or services might be for B2B or B2C. So it's a part of the equation for everything. If it's hard to update, it adds cost. If it converts at a high rate, it saves time. If it's difficult to manage, it evolves more slowly. If it's easy to track results, then you get smarter faster. So in almost every equation, in almost every formula that you could calculate ROI from, the website is a really, really important piece.
I think that's such great insight that you have, and especially I love the cheese. One of the things I say to small businesses is like your website is like your 24/7 salesperson, right? So it's almost like it's out there selling for you while you're sleeping, while you're making, while you're doing and running your business. It's out there generating interest and gathering leads, and yet so few are set up correctly. Right? So that said, blah, 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 blah. Let's talk about currency of websites, like how current it is. How do you even know if your website is current? Well, how can you tell if it's current enough?
Sure. So websites can be up to date or out of date in several different ways. There are things about the business that might make the website out of date because something changed in your business. You may be offered a service you don't offer, or you're focusing on a new angle or audience or product that stay up to date just in terms of the content, just logging in and making changes and making sure that all those pages that you've had turnover, the team pages must be updated. You've all the basic things about the site itself and just being a good brochure in a way. But also websites can go out of date in terms of their platform, in terms of their programming, in terms of their design. So we know that in the last 5 years, a lot of people went from a minority of users being on mobile to maybe an equal number or maybe even a majority of users being on mobile. To adapt to those visitors, the website has to be flexible, has to be easy for those people to use. So some websites just went out of date just based on their programming and design. So there are lots of little ways that a site can be current and useful and valuable and helpful and effective, or not be as effective that way. And we all keep our sites up to date through one of two methods. One is the ongoing little changes, the evolution in updating content. And the other is more the revolutionary change, where most businesses, every so often, they have to completely redesign their site and start from scratch and reconsider their navigation, their sitemap, their keywords, their brand, all those things.
So let's go to question number one, which is just launched out there.
Mm-hmm.
What impact does having a current and updated website design have on a small business's ability to get new customers? I really do make snap judgments on people and their website. I mean, it may not be like a style that I like, but something that's current really influences whether I want to do business with people. So talk a little bit about that. What impact does having a current site make on a small business and their ability to attract and keep customers?
Well, we are all critics. 100% of website visitors are critics, and you will be judged in seconds, if not less. So you can either be judged favorably or unfavorably in your general curb appeal. Do you look modern, professional, polished? Or do you look old and out of date and out of touch? This is one of the first things, even before they read the headline on your homepage. Visitors will, in a split second, right? I think there are statistics. It's like within a 20th of a second, the visitor will judge you as either being up to date or behind the times. So it just has a direct impact on people's value judgment of you, on your perception of your brand, on whether or not you're a premium service. And somehow great design just has an outsized effect on people's perception of brands. And great design will make people less resistant to pay money, makes people more interested in becoming a lead and hiring. It has really, strangely for all of us, it has just an outsized effect on what we see as being valuable or not. And I'm not sure exactly why design has that kind of power, but it does.
Isn't it, Andy, like people, the studies they showed about good-looking people get better jobs, good-looking people, whatever, right? A website, in a lot of ways, I always used to liken it to digital real estate, but in a lot of ways, a website is very much like a first impression of a human being. It says something about your personality. It says something about who you are. I mean, I'm just going to spill it out there. When I was first designing DIY marketers, and I had a designer help me out, although I clearly, because of my brand, had to do it myself, right? So I used a platform that you can do yourself. But it's on WordPress. But my point is, I was doing some stuff and my designer said, isn't your whole message simplify? If your message is simplify, your site needs to be clean, clean, clean. Everything needs to be easy and simple and easy to follow. And so, it makes it's like a human being. How you show up dressed. If you're not dressed correctly, they make judgments on you. It's not correct. It's not who you are on the inside, but it's like packaging or something, right?
These are great analogies. And normally I would be wearing a button-down shirt. It's very warm in my office, it's right over there. How we dress matters, right? That person that you meet, right? Hygiene, their fingernails, are they clean shaven? How does their hair look? Normally better than this. But it matters. It affects our perception. It definitely affects our perception. And we judge people, and we judge products, and we judge real estate and buildings and websites in that same way. So it's definitely not some place where you want to cut corners and hold back. I just saw another Steve Jobs documentary last night, or 2 nights ago. It was amazing. And he knew this. He knew that it mattered. Typeface mattered. Colors, style, minimalism, modernism. These things matter to people, and it affects how they feel. Your website is your home, literally your home page. Your visitors are your guests. Literally, they're visiting.
Yes.
Treat them like visitors. Make it hospitable, and make sure that you're not shortchanging them in any way on their experience while they're there. I feel like I should be more active in this Twitter chat. What am I missing?
Oh yeah, you're doing great, right? So Elle said, I think websites should have a certain theme or aesthetic. It makes it more appealing. And I think she's just echoing what you have said, right? So,
Yep.
a question I get asked very often is how often you should be updating your website. Now, I love what you talked about, right? There's like the short-term updates that you might make in content, with your team members, the content types of updates, right? But then there are like the bigger design updates. I don't know, Andy, how do you decide? I'm a woman, and I have to tell you, I don't know how your family is or the women in your family, but you know how some women love shoes? I love shoes.
I love
I
shoes.
also love user interface. And I get like bored with the same thing. So sometimes it won't necessarily, while, whether a website is mobile or not, that might be a hard trigger to change, right? But at the same time, that's a hard trigger. You have to change. It has to be mobile responsive. I get it. But at the same time, I'm just like, I'm tired of this and I just want to change it, or like something has changed to make me think my site is out of date. But what are the real triggers? How often should you be looking, evaluating, changing?
Sure. Well, it was funny. I was in a room once. We used to do subcontracting for agencies, and they would bring me to meetings. And I've been in many meetings with IT guys and programmers. And I was in a meeting once where that question was asked. And sounds like, an agency, an IT guy, and a web designer walk into a bar. This sounds like a joke. The agency said the website must be redesigned every 1 to 2 years. The IT guy had security concerns, and he thought a great website should be redesigned every 2 to 3 years, he said. And I said that, in my experience, a well-built, very easy to update website can actually last as long as 5 years. That doesn't mean wait 5 years before beginning the redesign process. That means plan to relaunch it at 5 years max, but probably 3 to 5 years. The variables include, are you in a design-driven industry where people expect newer things sooner? Somewhat like in our business, web design, we can't wait 5 years.
Right.
Other companies, they're in slower to change industries. If you make paper, or if you're a mining company, there's certain businesses where it's not as important. But also, has the business changed a lot in that time? That can instantly age your website. Were the people managing the website disciplined when making updates? This is a big issue. If people who are updating the website keep adding all kinds of new stuff without taking stuff away, the site gets older and rustier sooner. You have to be disciplined when updating a website and not keep crowding it with more and more stuff. Some people say, I want to put something new here, so cram this on here, or add this, or let's put more navigation, or put another picture in the top of the page. That's when websites get old and rusty and need to be redesigned sooner. So if the website content managers have the discipline to remove something before putting something new there, then the website will have a longer lifespan. But generally speaking, as a general rule, I would say 3 to 4 years, 5 if you are really good at discipline and design, 2 to 3 if you're in a fast-changing, aesthetics-driven industry.
So I have a question from the chat. Aaron Myler wants to know, and he's using this hashtag. I have no idea what it is. PPUWNIT. I don't know what that is, but his question is relevant. If a business is going for a vintage theme, how can you make that modern to fit into a good web page? And I think that's an awesome question, because folks, I think, struggle with that.
Sure. I'll put in, okay, so
yeah, go ahead.
That's on Twitter?
Yeah, it's on Twitter, so feel free. I even, you might see it in your mentions.
Yeah.
He just asked the question, so it doesn't have a question number. He just asked it.
Okay, a vintage theme with a modern look. Here's an example. So I'm going to put in a site that does that pretty well.
Oh, great.
I put it under A2. So vintage is a brand aesthetic. It has to do with typeface and colors and imagery. Modern, though, when people say modern, then they're normally talking about minimalist or clean or not crowded. So you can definitely have the historic kind of references.
Yes.
And and typeface and imagery, but not have it be crowded. So I think that you can have a clean, open aesthetic with a strong vintage theme. That Westminster Crackers website we designed as an example.
Oh, nice. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, feels very current. You know, it doesn't feel old, except that everything about it, every aspect of it has a vintage sort of historic feel.
Yes, exactly. See, I couldn't have even put words to this, but as soon as he said it, I'm like, oh, you can totally do it. But I didn't know how to put words to it the way you had, right? That is such a great example. It has that. And I've seen other sites that have that rustic flavor, and yet very, very current.
Yeah. When people say modern, what they usually mean is white space.
I see.
Anyone can add white space. Just don't pack it too full. Actually, this is relevant for content marketers. I think content marketers writers can add white space too. Good writers have, they break up their content into short paragraphs. You know, bad writers have big, blocky, dense paragraphs. So white space is relevant for everybody. And it's the writer's job too, to not make things too compact, too crowded.
I love that tip, right? So don't be afraid of, one of my favorite things is the one sentence paragraph. Love those. And Maria Elena Derone mentioned on the tweet chat in response to question 1, my answer was to question 1, I think a poor website can literally chase customers away. And she said, yes, along with slow load times. I think that might come up in our future conversation, but I am a complete speed freak. I actually invested money to speed up my site. So talk a little bit about load times and speed.
Yeah, it's one of those examples of where clients' desires and visitors' desires are often in conflict. So what a website owner wants and what the website visitors want isn't always the same. A lot of people, when they go through our website redesign process, ask for big, beautiful images. They want one of these backgrounds that has video that plays inside there, like a fancy image. And it's a tough, you walk that line. Smart loading code and a clean programming framework. There's lots of little things that designers and programmers do that make websites load quickly, and they should. Websites that have lots of content can use something called a CDN, a content delivery network, that can speed up a website. But there's also something about just the structure of the design. And websites that have big images and lots of them often are the most beautiful websites, sites that you might love the most. But there's a trade-off there because that might be the heaviest part of the page. So there are tools. One of them is called Pingdom, Pingdom. If you run your site through Pingdom tools, it will show you exactly which thing on your website takes how many milliseconds to load. And then on a well-built website, you'll see a lot of those slow loading things of the images, and they're there because you wanted them. Here's the link to Pingdom tools. Share it with you. You can also share it in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead and share it on there. And while you do that, that actually speaks to question number 3 that I threw out there, which is what should you prioritize when you're making updates to your website? And that's what popped up for me, Andy, is that oftentimes there are little things that you can do, such as improving your speed and maybe I use a tool called Kraken.io to reduce the size of my images without reducing the quality of the images, and really helps loading up fast. So sometimes it's these different things that could really make an impact on your site.
Yeah. It's compress your images as much as you can, and it matters. It matters a lot. Even a design that doesn't have giant images in it might load slowly because the website, the content manager didn't compress the images as much as they needed to. So not uncommon for people to have a well-programmed, fast-loading website, but then hurt their own results, hurt their own page load time. By the way, there's a report in analytics that will show you which of your pages is the slowest loading, and that's a way to quickly diagnose issues with load time. You can use the analytics page speed reports to see.
Oh, that's so good. You are so this is why you're my favorite speaker at Content Marketing World. I kid you not. After seeing all of them, you are still my favorite.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm serious.
You have, I saw some great presentations this year.
Yeah, they were really
Yeah.
good ones. I mean, that's not to take away, but I think that what I really love is this practical advice. Maybe because I'm a tip hog and a tool hog. I love those things.
Mhm.
Debbie Schweik says that the way she prioritizes is to fix what's broken with pages, no traffic where you need traffic, update what's outdated. Well, I get that. And I want to say that we have Point Park College here. Remember how I said, what is that hashtag?
Mhm.
That's Point Park College. If they are my Pittsburghers, then they are, the design school, which is really, really cool. Great to have them here. Okay, so what else? Speaking of, go ahead.
I'm going to share a link to an article that explains how to find the top path through your website.
Ooh, yeah,
And focus
share
on
that.
Because every website is a most popular path. And if you're going to spend 5 minutes working on your website, focus on one of those pages that's in that top most popular path through your website.
How do you do this? How do you keep track of all these cool little things in your head?
It's a common thing. Just most people don't look at that report. But it should show you at once all of your priorities. Or top pages is another way to look at it. But that can make a big difference. Just focusing on the few pages that get the majority of your traffic.
Correct. I think that is super wise, super wise. Anything else that should be on your priority list? Oh, Patty wants to know about removing content. We typically don't remove content.
This is a really good question.
Go ahead, answer.
This is another question of priorities. Amazon has very famously never removed a URL. So there's a potentially there's an argument to say, if you got the resources, keep every page you've ever had. There's no disadvantage to keeping all of them forever. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't cost anything. But the real question is, which of your pages, let's say you're redesigning your website, or you're just doing an audit, which of your pages should you keep? I would say that there's an SEO benefit to making sure you never remove a page that anyone has ever linked to. So let's say you have an old page on your website from years ago, but it got some attention once and someone at a media site loved it and they linked to it. If you remove that page, you break that link to you from that media site. So you can use a tool like Open Site Explorer to find every page that anyone's linking to. Yep. You can also find that in Google. Might be a paid version you need, I'm not sure. But you can definitely find that also in your Search Console, Google Search Console. So don't ever remove a page or change a URL if someone is linking to it. Also, don't remove any pages that are getting traffic.
Oh my God, Andy! I swear to God. Do you know what I did? This is just this is like what do you call that? Confessions, right? True confessions. So when Google my site's been up. Just DIY Marketers has been up since 2008. So when I was writing content all those years ago, remember when you hyperlinked, and let's say I did a whole thing about business card design or something, and I linked under business cards, I linked to moo.com, for example, and there was nothing wrong with that. That's what you did back then. And then Google comes out and says, you have unnatural links, or who knows, right? I tried to find these things. I tried to do whatever. I found the offending pages, and some of them I totally just deleted. I was like, oh, it's an out-of-date article. Oh, it's whatever. And I'm like, zap. I went did all kinds of stuff. So that brings us to another topic, which is 301 redirects, which we're not the topic, not the focus of this conversation. But thank you for sharing that, because now I've lost those pages. I have no idea who was linking, who wasn't linking.
Yeah, be careful. Right.
Yeah, right. Don't do what I did.
Links on someone else's site.
Exactly.
Yeah, do so cautiously.
Don't do what I did, people. Okay, so let's look at the question that just went on, which was, what are some of the most annoying trends? And you talked about video playing in the background, and you remember when we had the trend of, oh my God, what was it? Before HTML5. When things were moving around on the page, and it was stop it. Right? What are the most annoying trends, right, that we're going to head into 2017 with, that we should just avoid?
Well, there's things that are annoying to your visitors, but that sadly may work really well in marketing. Pop-up windows are just out of control right now. You notice this?
Oh my God. I
not,
know, and they work.
they work, and people love, I mean, marketers love them, visitors hate them. So that's an example of where annoying, but to who?
Right.
I'm not using them. I don't like them, but pop-up windows are definitely a mega trend, and it can be pretty annoying. So that has to be up there at the top of my list.
I know it's on my list too, because I even said I'm curious about pop-ups. They get
Yeah,
sign-ups, but they're so annoying, and that's
I know.
just
Yeah,
they
I
they
think
would
also,
if they didn't work.
yeah, but here's one that I'm not sure that everyone would agree with. Designers like these effects. It's sort of these pages where as you scroll down the page, there's sort of animations depending on how far down you scroll.
Huh.
So let's say like there's something moves in or something gets bigger or
Right.
little elements kind of fade in or something like that. This is part of another trend where people build sites that have sort of like two layers, and the back layer moves more slowly than the front layer. You know, like they call it parallax.
Parallax, right.
Yeah, parallax scrolling. It looks like this. It's like, you know, the
Right.
front is moving faster than the back. It's kind of weird.
Right.
I think that I've never seen evidence that these things are effective. Therefore, to me, as an analytics-driven, data-driven marketer, to me they're a little bit annoying because there's some risk there. They're adding to the they're adding, it's eye candy. They're adding visual noise without necessarily communicating anything. Very rarely I'll see one that is designed to communicate more clearly, and it's impressive. But usually, I think that clients ask for these, and designers want to make them, and programmers like to play with the code that makes them work. But is there value to the visitor? It worries me a little, because I think that it might not necessarily be data-driven empathy that leads designers and programmers to make these little decisions.
I think that is a great point. I have played with parallax with and without. I'm currently playing with, and I'm not sure if I like it or not. Right. And it's just one of those things like, is it chewing up bandwidth? Is it, is it taking away from the original purpose of the site? Right. Is it going to add or is it going to take away? So
Right.
I think that's really wise. The other thing I've noticed is that there has been this trend towards like single page sites somehow.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What's up with that? Good thing, bad thing? What?
Well, they are, if their website has two goals, one is to attract visitors and the other is to get the visitors to take action, then the single page site might actually be powerful at that second goal. It might have a high conversion rate. You know, when you give the visitor everything on one page and you answer all of their top questions and you address all of their objections and you give them all kinds of evidence and proof, and then you have calls to action throughout, single page sites can be very powerful in the form of landing pages, where the person gets to that page and there's it's totally focused on one topic, and it might convert like a champion. But if the entire website is one page, that is the definition of an SEO disaster, because you have just one URL. You know, Google does not rank websites. Google ranks web pages. So a single page site has a major disadvantage. There's only one URL. You can't target more than one phrase, really. So a single page website is not best practices for content marketing or web design or SEO. If it's good for anything, it's just simply as a landing page from a specific campaign, such as email or social ads or pay-per-click. But nobody's website should be a simple web page. You need, multiple pages focused on different topics, that answer the visitor's top questions, and ranks for many phrases.
Love it. Love it. Well, we're getting lots of feedback here, and I'll let you kind of stroll through the Twitter stream rather than
I'm
scroll.
behind. I'm so behind on Twitter right now.
Well, that's okay. You just go right on through your Twitter.
Yeah.
You go right on through your Twitter. That's kind of odd. Don't know what happened there. I have a sort of wacky thing that happened. I'm going to take a big risk and refresh. Not my Twitter stream. There it's happy now. I'm on TweetDeck, so sometimes it acts up. Let's talk about, I love what Anna says, promising a free something and then requiring a long form with your personal info. I'm with you on that one, right?
Yeah, that's called a greedy form.
The
No one
greedy
likes them.
form, right? No one likes them. And I've noticed something, and Adele Ravella did this at the Content Marketing World, and I've noticed a couple people do it. Anita Campbell does it sometimes on Small Business Trends. Like, she's doing it right now with a Microsoft ebook. Having simply like download with absolutely no opt-in, right?
Oh,
right? Where the key is to drive traffic to the page and get traffic to the page and really be of service. Is there a benefit to doing something like that? What is the benefit if you're not grabbing somebody's email?
Well, the benefit is to build trust. It's to build fans. It's to put your best stuff out there and to compete better. I mean, your content is more accessible than other people's content. You'll increase your reach. If everything that you have, if all your best stuff is behind a login and behind a gate, an email, subscribe. If your best work is a lead magnet, then that means that 100% of your visitors are not seeing your best work. So, as we said in Cleveland, content marketing is a test of generosity. Whoever gives away the most helpful, useful information wins. So you're kind of giving it away, but you're asking for something back. It's definitely worth testing to remove all the gates and see if that doesn't increase traffic, increase sharing, and indirectly might have a very positive effect on your list growth. Also, we should be checking back to see if you are gating your content and you force people to give you an email address before getting the full value. What's the quality of that subscriber? Is it as high as your other subscribers? Because usually when I want it and I give my email address away all the time, but I'm very quick to unsubscribe if my true purpose was not to be a fan and to get more great stuff. Maybe my true purpose was to get that one thing I wanted, and now I'm done. So I think that I've never seen the data, but I suspect the quality of these lists that people are growing through pop-up forms and lead magnets is lower than the true fans that you'd get by simply giving away your best advice on a regular basis.
I really agree with that. And it sounds like what you're talking about is the goals that you've set for your site. I don't think we talk enough about that. Right? Some sites are purely designed to gather emails and they have a whole funnel in place, right? And some people gather emails and don't have a funnel in place, right? And if, like my goal is shifting from gathering emails, let's say, to building engagement. Like what I want to do is get to know people and engage with them online, whether it's through the blog or like this or on Twitter or whatever. So I'm probably you're going to see in 2017, I'm planning on changing my site around just a little bit to maybe mimic that goal more. So talk a little bit about the goals that you have for your site and then like how to maybe structure it for 2017 so that accomplishes that goal.
Well, generically, you could say every website has the same 3 goals. Get visitors to take action, and be easy to update. If you only get 2 of those 3, you'll be furious. You'll be very unhappy, and the first number times the second number is how much money you make, and the third number is a cost. So traffic, conversion rate, and easy updates. So those are the 3 things that every marketing website must be focused on, or else you're going to be really unhappy with your results. Beyond that, there are lots of other more specific goals, things that would be KPIs in your analytics, or things that would be more long-term goals like brand building in your business objectives. The specific goal of every website should be the actual setting in analytics, which is the goal conversion. Is your website supposed to sell something, generate leads, get visitors to subscribe, get visitors to donate, get job applicants to apply? If you write down the specific measurable business outcome from your website and digital marketing project, then every action you take should focus on that specifically. And you should reduce a lot of waste in the time that you spend building, managing, updating, marketing your website. So it's based on, depending on those goals, generically, traffic, conversions, and easy updates but more specifically, it gets into the each business. And for a lot of us, it's list growth, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. But I'm thinking always to myself, like, I played around with email marketing. It's just not a favorite strategy of mine for whatever reason. And, what's the point of growing a list if you don't know what you're going to do with it? You have to have an offer. You have to have, you have to be structured and know what you're going to do with it. Otherwise, why bother?
Exactly right. People who, yep. Everything should connect to the business objective. So there isn't any number that's there for its own sake. If it's there for its own, then it's just a vanity metric.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, I rank for this phrase, or I have 10,000 email addresses, or I have 100,000 followers on this social network. Tell me how that connects to your strategy. Tell me how that aligns with, keep asking why. You'll find out that a lot of marketers are trying to get something that they really don't need.
Exactly. So we were talking about, and I don't even know if you've kind of answered this already, but the question has zoomed by me. So as you're planning for 2017, what elements of your site should be evaluating to see if an update is necessary? You kind of touched on a few of these, right? Your team page, right? Do you have the right people there? I don't know maybe you're like your lead magnets. What about, I don't know, articles that need to be updated? I don't know how you keep track of that. One of the things I notice is that one of your recommendations on your site, which I was trolling incessantly because it's so irresistible, is you said, don't put dates on things. I'm like, well, that's good if your content is evergreen, right? I like that. And how do you find when something needs to change on your site? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say there's been a Google update, or like, I don't know what you do when things have been updated and you have an article that's on something specific and now you need to update it. What do you do? How do you do that?
Well, we do update our articles, and we took the dates off our blog, and it's improved a lot of things on our site because there isn't almost anything on our website that's tied to a date. A lot of these things are things that are relevant for years. And I have articles about, how to do things that are the same as they were when I published them in 2012. And when we took the dates off, people tend to like the article more than they used to. They leave comments more, they share them more, because all the date was doing was indicating that it's old. Now, that was the date in the programming, but you can still put the date in the headline. So for example, we also do a piece of research every year, which was the blogger survey. So I have the 2014, 2015, and now I'm working on the 2016 blogger survey. Yeah, it says that very prominently at the top of the article. So I do have dates in content when the content is tied to a specific time period, something like research. But generally speaking, if your strategy is to publish helpful, useful stuff, then I don't recommend including dates. Your readers will say that they prefer it, but kind of like some other things in marketing, you'll actually get better results as a marketer if you consider the data, not just the specific reader.
I think that's fantastic, right? So what other things, what is on that question 6? What should you be evaluating, right? So we talked about content. What else?
Yeah. Well, definitely look at your analytics to see what's working and what's not. You should reconsider your navigation probably. So there might be 5 things in your top level navigation, and there might be 2 of them that no one ever clicks. If that's true, either rename those or remove those. That's an example, and you can see that based on your analytics, like your website navigation best practices. It should be really obvious if that thing is getting traction or not, if it's working. So you have this opportunity to reconsider all kinds of things: the structure of the pages, the photography, what pages are getting traction, which ones aren't, what pages are getting visits, are people making their way through? Everyone should have a sense for this. What are your top exit pages? Go look at those, right? There's a report in analytics that will show you all of your top exit pages. Where are people leaving? Is there something wrong on those pages? So if you do that, then you'll make decisions based on the data, and you'll have a better chance to make it a positive iteration. You'll lose nothing, you'll gain everything.
That's perfect. Okay, so the next question that's coming up, it's not even up yet. And we talked about parallax, right? It was all the rage. Now, what do you see on the horizon for 2017? Like you said, I've seen the videos in the background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else do you see coming? I mean, the horizontal structure, the pure horizontal structure, that's been with us for a
Mm-hmm.
while. I've had that structure since probably 2013, the full, the full page,
Sure.
full horizontal. Are they going to go back and do something else? What are you seeing? What's new and exciting?
Uh, I'm probably a little biased against new and exciting. I'm going to say, and I'm sharing this now, there's a personal touch that is never going to change. And that what people are getting better at is including themselves in their content. I think what's new and exciting for a lot of websites is just to be more of a human. It's strange to me. Little companies are always trying to look big, and big companies are always trying to look small.
I
Isn't that
know,
weird? I have clients that are big companies and they want to look like little businesses. And I have clients that are little businesses that want to look big. Everyone should just try to look more human, just try to be more of yourself. So, I mean, the mega trends out there are more visual content, pages that are even cleaner and more open, single column, tall scrolling pages. More often, we're going to see pages where you might see it one way, but really what you're seeing is what is either A or B in a test, and people are building sites that optimize themselves a little in smarter ways. But without doing very much at all, you can take a great picture from your phone camera and put that on your site and show really the inside, the behind the scenes in your company. I think it's the personal touch that is really going to win, and that it's not really new and exciting as a design trend, but it could be really interesting and new to your visitors.
I think that's a great insight, and I share that with you. I'm astounded at all my small business people that I'm like, yeah, you can like looking big doesn't actually, it's a content message, right? They're creating content that's very, very complicated, very, very, full of jargon and all that other kind of stuff. I'm like, just kind of be human. It's totally fine. But, I read an article, and I'm probably going to share a link here with you guys. Maybe later, but maybe I'm not. I read this article that talked about how in the past we designed websites for desktop screens and laptop screens, and down they went. So you went from big to small. But now I read this thing that's saying that they're actually going to start looking at designing from the mobile device out. Because like you said before, so many people are on mobile devices that they're looking at that. What do you know about that?
It's a big design trend. It's called mobile first. So the idea is that you really think first about these mobile visitors. I think it really depends on each website's audience, which you can confirm through your analytics. So let's say you're trying to get it down to be very efficient for mobile first, fast loading, tight content, very short amounts of text. The navigation's collapsed into the little hamburger icon, the 3 lines. Yeah, they call that a hamburger icon, which is a funny word. I think that's risky for certain brands, especially B2B or for high consideration decisions, because let's say you've got a product or service that takes a lot of research. There's multiple decision makers. Lots of questions need to be answered. It's a long sales cycle. There are people who need to read a lot of information before they decide whether they trust you and take action, become a lead. But mobile first would tell you to cut your content in half and then cut it in half again. It's like any best practice, it needs to be done cautiously, and results will vary. I get the idea, and there's lots of things about it that I love about that mobile first philosophy, but it doesn't necessarily make sense for everybody. And I'd recommend that you look at your analytics and consider your audience and your services, and make sure that it all fits together well. If you have a lot of, if 70% of your visitors are on desktop and they visit 6 times before becoming a lead, and they need a lot of information before they reach out, then mobile first just isn't that relevant to you.
Got it. I love what you're saying, and I have to shorten it.
I know.
Because my tweet is too long.
I hope people are watching this video a little bit if they.
They are. I told them, I'm like, you got to be on the video because that's where the good stuff is. And that, I love, this is something I'm experimenting with, right? I love tweet chats, but one of the things I've noticed is that when you have when you have what I would consider a bigger topic, and that's something that we do here, digging deep into a specific topic. And one of the peeves I have about tweet chats in general is that people make very vague, vapid comments because you only have 140 characters, which I love. But somehow you don't get the dig deeper component.
Oh, it's so hard. I think this is great what we're doing now. It's really, really hard to deliver value on a Twitter chat. I end up having, and I'm doing it again now, but I have this temptation to share links that go deeper on the topic. But then I look like I'm just promoting my own content, which isn't necessarily, I'm just trying to make sure people get the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want you to do that. I'm not one of these, I know different tweet chats have different rules. I am all about sharing your links because I have actually shared some myself. And
yeah, if it's useful to people, I'm going to share one.
Share it, share it.
Are we on, when we get to question 8, I've got some tips, but yeah, I think that's all. I love that we're making this video.
What should you never do? Share it, share it.
What should you never do on your website? This is question 8. Here's my tip about things to remove. It's a long list of things to remove from your website.
I know, I love that. And I think I shared that somewhere along the line. It's the 15 things you need to remove. Oh, it's so good. It is so good.
It's a video. It's kind of a ranty thing where I'm talking about how, again, best practices are risky, but I make the case for, websites shouldn't have this and they shouldn't have that, and there's exceptions to those rules. But the general idea is that there's lots of things people do on websites that are not very good for results, and that we should be cautious about adding. Here, I'll share an image that makes this case. Things to remove. Yeah. It's question 8 still, right?
Yeah, we are. Question 8 still.
Things to remove from your website. But social media icons. I'm on a mission to get people to remove the big social media icons. Yeah.
That and the date.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is the other thing people ask for recaps. So one thing I really love about having it on video is you can watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much easier to go into detail on a video. It's kind of fun that there's, what I should have done is just scheduled all kinds of tweets to go out during this so that people who are only on the Twitter chat would have gotten.
Well, I am learning, this is what I did, but see, that's, and hey, you just gonna have to come back. We're gonna do it again.
I'll do it again.
We're gonna pick another one though. I don't even know, right? I had such a hard time picking between cool SEO stuff versus what else? What was the other one you had? Content, right? Analytics. But we just did analytics.
Yeah.
So many cool things to talk about with you. And you are just, your content is so yummy. People, you have got to check out. I'm telling you, I have sent out your blog link like 10 times just in the last couple weeks. And I'm talking like to my writers or to people. I'm like, look at this. Look at this.
I'm glad if it's helpful. That's the idea. It's hard to keep it going. I mean, it's I wish I had more time to write. You're inspiring me. I'm gonna have to up my game now for you.
Just for me, right? No, I'm like, well, it's appealing to me because I think you and I have similar philosophies, right? Like simplicity. You don't have to do it all. Don't be driven by what's going on out here. All this. You're more analytical than I am. That's one area I wish I could improve on. But like when I look at your blog titles, when I look at your site, when I look at everything, there's nothing there that doesn't have to be there. Every single title is like so.
Well, it's that's one thing I'd like to improve. I'm trying to work on that. It's really hard, right?
Oh,
I'm often unsure. I don't know. I mean, you put it out there and, you see what happens. And a lot of these get kind of medium results for open and click-through rates in my email. I don't know. I'm never very confident in a title when I write one.
Well,
But
here's
you gotta pick something.
something that Anita Campbell from Small Biz Trends and I were talking about this, and we were talking about the content on Small Business Trends. And she's like you; she's like super analytical. She really dig into her stats, and she will craft a headline. She's a lawyer, right? So she's crafting. But one of the things that she says is, there are articles, and the one she uses as an example all the time is that every year they do a blog article on mileage rates from the IRS. When the IRS launches the mileage rates on Small Business Trends, they write an article, right? It gets like 500,000 views, right? Like maybe 200 shares. Like, so she goes,
that's amazing.
It's amazing, right? She gets all these, she goes, so sometimes there are articles that people just consume, but they're not shared. It's like people are selfishly, versus like a cat video, which is an article you would share, but not really consume.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's, there's what company is it? There's a guy who did a study and found that there was very little correlation between being shared and being read.
Yes.
How scary is that? Yeah. Totally. Isn't that weird?
I think I saw
people
that.
People share stuff they haven't read, and people read things they don't share.
Correct. I don't know.
That's really weird.
It's probably going to keep going, right? It's content overwhelm, right? And you must have, maybe that was the article I read on your site. I told you I had been trolling. And I read that and I was like, I know it. It's all about the headline and how much information can you get into a headline and so on and so forth, right?
Well, this is a side note from web design, but when you think about it, articles are not shared at all. Only the headline is shared, right?
Right.
When you share something, what are you sharing? You're sharing the headline and a link. You're not really sharing the article itself. I think that's a way to think about it, is that headlines, articles don't get shared, headlines get shared. No article's ever shared. It's really just shared, unless you copy and paste the whole thing into an email or something. And who does that? Yeah.
Nobody does that, right? So question number 9 says, what are some best practices, this whole idea of going from, you talked about mobile first, is that what you called it?
Yeah. Yep. Mobile first. So I'm going to share now an image, not a link, but just an image of the mobile navigation standards, which you could say, I jokingly called it, some people really do call it the hamburger icon, which is the 3-bar. Yeah. So that's kind of evolved into the standard now. So you can see it there in the Twitter stream. I put that in there. So that's a really standard thing. But what you have to understand for mobile is that the visitors will have as little as 300 pixels of width. So the standard for mobile web design is single column. That's a short way to say that the most important difference between mobile and desktop, or old desktop and new desktop, is that we used to build things that were like 3 and 4 columns. There's like a left side navigation and a content in the middle and then a right rail. More often these days, partly because of mobile, websites are built to be single column. Also, the programming has evolved where things are a little bit more modular. So like, if you look at a website and there's a somewhere down the homepage is like 3 boxes, 3 offerings. Well, you just know how that's going to work on mobile, right? They just get stacked. So it's made the standards a little bit more codified. It's a little bit more straightforward now what we're going to be doing when we do something on desktop versus mobile. Everything has become a little bit more like building blocks that just rearrange themselves for those 3 sizes, desktop, tablet, and phone. And it's very good that those standards have evolved. It makes all websites look a bit more similar to each other, one to the next. But is that bad? I'll ask you, is it bad that websites in their structure all are unifying into a certain framework?
I can't believe you brought this up. And all you people that are on Twitter and not on here are going to be so sorry that you're not here, right? Because I have it that we are now taught to behave a certain way. What is that called? Not user interface. There's something else. There's another engineering like they do on airplanes and cars and whatever. We're used to seeing certain things in certain places. So if I'm going in a website, I expect to see a navigation bar, right, in a certain place. I expect buy buttons to be in a certain place. I expect search boxes to be in a certain place. That helps me get through what I want done faster. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when
Exactly.
you have a website that breaks those rules, that means you are creating a disruption. Now, the question is, do you want them to be disrupted? Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's appropriate. But if your thing is that you want people to, like, if I'm looking, let's say if I'm comparing email marketing tools, I'm going to hit one tool, another tool, a third tool. And I want to know, I want to see a pricing. I want to see a pricing page. I want to see such and such a page. I want to see a feature page so I can compare. Like, I want to get through it and I better be able to find it. So to your point, sometimes I think there's a benefit that they're all alike.
There is a benefit. I agree. I think it's an important question. And we have many clients who say, all these websites look too similar to each other. I want something that looks totally different. And I compare it to cars. Let's say we were designing cars and someone said, I want my car to look totally different. So put the headlights on the roof, put the steering wheel in the back seat. I want the hood to open on the side. Well, there are benefits to conforming to standards and conventions because that makes things easier for people to use.
Right. Well, exactly.
So exactly. But you can differentiate in other ways. Differentiate in your content and how you write. Differentiate in your images. Differentiate in your brand standards. There's lots of places where you don't want to look the same as everyone else. But there are other places where it's kind of a good thing to look the same as everyone else, because we all know that the driver sits, on the left side of the car, and the doors open like this, and the hood's in front, and the trunk is in back. That's not bad. So I think that web design standards are of a benefit to designers and to visitors both. It's not a good thing for a client to push to reinvent how websites are used. That would increase what you described as the task completion time. It's harder to do what for the visitor. It might make it harder for them to do what they need to do.
Yeah, and I think that's and there are a few folks here on. I think it's Debbie that says, I can't say enough about putting yourself in the customer's shoes. Design for them, right for them. Yes. And I think that that's very, very wise. I do want to, oh my God, we just have just a few minutes, but Phil Barnes said something in the tweet chat a little while ago. He said, I disagree on PDF files. I've seen sites utilize them as a leave behind download, just not as a primary content. So you might want to say a little bit more about that. You agree with that too. Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
And so I'm making a strong, just make sure that nothing is there only as a PDF, that everything that's a PDF exists in its primary form as an HTML version, because you get tracking and analytics. It's accessible to the visually impaired. It's going to load faster. It's more easily shared. It has better usability. PDFs are supplemental versions. So I completely agree with what he said. He's thinking about it the right way. I'm trying to be a little bit provocative in that post, like, oh, remove these from your website. But actually, there's a time and place for anything like that. And his example is exactly the right way to use a PDF in my view.
All right. So before we wrap up, I got to ask you, what are you going to do in 2017? What are the insiders going to do? What are you going to do?
Well, we're going to redesign our website, and it should go live in December. November, December, which I'm excited by.
Big redesign?
Yeah, it's a complete redesign. We're reconsidering the navigation. We're rewriting the pages. All the layouts will be new. We're going to be doing more events because I really enjoy doing live events. We would never have met otherwise. So we're going to be adding more events to our content program. Wine and Web is our monthly event. We're probably going to try to turn that into a webinar, Wine and Webinar, so maybe a monthly webinar. But the book is just getting updated, so that's just coming out now. So the 4th edition of the book is done. That'll hold for about a year. So I don't have to worry about that. That's a big project. But other than that, you'll find me in Cleveland. My favorite things aren't going to change. I will be at all my favorite events, hopefully, if they have me back. So. And,
I can't imagine them not. So I got to ask you, right? So you're going to share, hopefully you'll share some of your little secrets. So as you're redesigning your website and, doing for all these goals and things like that, what were some of the things that were most important to you? Are you going like changing colors? Are you going to go radically different? Like, what were you thinking about that you wanted expressed in the new site?
Well, we wanted to make sure that we didn't hurt anything. So the first rule, it's like a doctor, do no harm.
Right.
So we did some analysis on what was performing well, either at converting visitors or attracting visitors. But we knew that there are pages on our site actually has problems that we're trying to fix. Our site, there's some technical descriptions of service offerings that are confusing. There are the navigation, some of the main sub-navigation is not very effective. The portfolio performs well, which is one of the most important things. The blog gets good traction and traffic, which is good, but we want to improve it. And we know that just applying our latest best practices and being critical of the things, even the things we think that are working well, and reconsidering these things. But it's not unlike a lot of website redesign projects. You know, we're gonna try not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, although we're not sure yet how it's going to turn out. Some things will get rewritten, but here's one last tip for redesigning websites. The best day to launch a new website is the first day it's better than the old website. Don't delay. Go live with the new website as soon as it's even a little bit better than the old one, because it's not finished. It's never going to be finished. No website is ever finished. Digital ink is never dry. Keep working on it after it goes live. Go put it, as soon as your new website is better than the old one, make it live, and then continue to work on it forever.
I have to quote you on that one. Digital ink is never dry. Oh my God. Quotable.
I was not the first to say that, although I'm not sure who was.
I don't know.
I use that in an image for our annual blogger survey.
Right.
Oh, which maybe I can put in here.
Yeah, put it in there.
Got a minute? Please take our annual. This is a tough one. Our goal is to get 1,000 people to answer 12 questions, which is a lot of work because I just have to reach out to tons of people to promote the survey. But the little image that I use that says that, digital ink is never dry. People like that.
Oh, because it's just so, it's something that we all live with. And once again, just great tips in digestible ways. You cannot beat it with a stick, Andy. I know you think I'm like.
Just tell me when you want to do this again. And next time I'll schedule all the Twitter stuff in advance, and we'll focus a bit more on
right. Well, you know what I'll do is I will give you like my entire, because I schedule mine. I will give you my entire thing, and then
Perfect.
You can, you can do yours with the times, and then you can do yours, and then we'll just talk, and we can jump in with folks. Right? I am so glad that you jumped in. I'm like honored. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy is like totally going to do this like now. And he's all like ready to do it. I'm so happy.
No, I'd be happy to. Yeah, this was fun.
Oh, I tell you what, I enjoyed meeting you. I enjoyed reading your book. Can't wait for the next one. I enjoyed this whole thing. I know everyone just loved everything.
I'll send you a copy. The new one should be here any day now. I'll include you on the list to send you the new version.
Absolutely, because I will review it for Small Business Trends.
Yeah, and just email me your mailing address, and I'll put it in the mail. I should have one in the next few days.
Brilliant. What was the other? Oh, and
I just found it.
Oh, you did?
It's right there. I've got your mailing address.
Yes, it's all right there.
Perfect.
And if you want to have fun, you can join us. I run the same chat, no video. It's all Twitter. That's the unplugged version of Bizapalooza chat. Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, but you might be doing baby things then.
Yeah, I'm trying to unplug a bit better at night because I've got diapers to change and things.
I tell you what, when my son was little, and I still do, I unplug around 4 o'clock. But when he was little, I totally unplugged at 4 o'clock. Now I'll unplug at 4. I'll be down for like 2 or 3 hours. That's family time. Yeah. But now my son is 16. So he and his father, they go off to martial arts or they're off doing what they're doing. And I have time. And that's when I just like unwind on like some of the fun tweet chats that go on at night.
Yeah. I know. I love that stuff. There's great stuff that goes on that time of day.
It really is, because people are like, and so while this one was real practical, we're talking about website design trends and we're like all like in it. But the one that's unplugged, like last week we talked about annoying meetings. I still can't remember what my topic is this week, but it'll be something like email or like just stuff that people like us want to talk to each other about.
Sure.
So if you're ever free, that's fine. If not, I totally get it. You have baby time. That's so exciting. That's the best time ever.
It's pretty good. I love that little guy. It is his faith. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you for your generosity and everything. And I can't wait to get your new book.
Yep. I'll drop it in the mail as soon as I have a copy. It should be very soon.
Yay. Thanks you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, okay. I was happy to do it. Bye.
Talk to you soon.